Welcome to Research Talk. I hope you all are enjoying our journey together on Phenomenology. In our previous videos, we covered many phenomenologist philosophers, such as we started with Husserl, Heidegger, and then we covered Merleau-Ponty. In this video, and this is our final video in the context of understanding the history of phenomenology, we are going to talk about another great philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre was, you could say, like a rock star of philosophy because he was very popular, and during the 1940s and 1950s, it was the time when a lot of memes and cartoons were created about philosophers, such as philosophers are people who can think about great ideas, but they have a hard time thinking about day-to-day normal things. So they are very forgetful, and all those stereotypes that we often see and hear about philosophers. So he was very popular, and Sartre introduced a new turn to phenomenology. You remember Heidegger gave an ontological turn to phenomenology, and then Merleau-Ponty talked about perception, pre-reflective experience, embodied experience. Now Sartre talks about existential. So what he did, he mixed, or I would say he used phenomenology with existentialism. He wrote a very popular, his one of the best work he did, and that book is called Being and Nothingness. In this book, he explained and present all the ideas he developed, which later became very, very powerful and sort of changes society at large. So this book came in 1943, and it made him like a rock star philosopher. So as I said previously, he used phenomenology to explore the idea of existentialism. Now, you may have heard about this term earlier, existentialism, but I can just tell briefly about what existentialism is. Existentialism, in the context of what we are discussing here, is a philosophical movement that started around 1920s, where philosophers focused on understanding human existence, what it means to be human, how as humans we create meaning and purpose of life. Is there a purpose which has been pre-decided by a higher power, maybe like a God figure? Or we come to the earth born as fresh, and then we find and explore meaning and purpose for our life. So existentialism as a philosophical movement try to answer, reflect on these questions. Some of the key philosophers in existentialism were Kierkegaard, Albert Camus, Nietzsche. These were the main philosophers who took the field of existentialism even further. Sartre came and he explored the ideas related to existentialism, the meaning of being human, how we create meaning, what it means to lead a good life, what is anxiety, what is freedom, what is choice. Do we have complete freedom as humans, or we are just thrown into this world and we don't have any choice? So Sartre explored all these ideas, and we are going to learn some of the key ideas that he explored in the book Being and Nothingness. Sartre argued that when it comes to human existence, there are two kinds of existence. The one, he called it being in itself. Sartre argued that the object around us, animals, plants, all these different objects, they exist, but they don't have a consciousness to really reflect, think, and decide their will, or they don't have the power to reflect and think and determine what course of action they should take. So the things that we see ourselves around ourselves, they are like that: objects, animals, plants, and that's why he called it being in itself. For humans, he defined the existence of humans as being for itself. He argued that we humans, as animal, we have free will. We can reflect, we can think, and we can decide. So in a way, we have freedom to choose. However, and there is a famous statement that he shared, that man is condemned to be free. Man is condemned to be free. He used the word condemned here because what he argued, that on the one hand, the freedom that we have, it's a blessing because we have the freedom, unlike animals, unlike plants or other objects. They just exist. Their existence is more sort of being in itself. For humans, we have this freedom. We have the freedom to choose, freedom to reflect, think. It's a blessing. However, he called this freedom as a condemn because it comes with a source of anxiety as well. So let's understand another thing here, that another important concept that he said, that when it comes to human consciousness is different from other consciousness that we see around us. And that difference is we as humans are programmed to see deficiency around us. What it means, that our consciousness has a nature, and that nature is we are programmed to identify something which is lacking. For instance, if I'm working as a teacher, I can see, oh, my job has this thing, but it does not have this particular thing. I might get good, I'm getting a good payment here in this job as a teacher, but I may not be satisfied with my job responsibilities or the nature of the job that I'm doing. So human consciousness has a tendency to identify what is lacking, deficiency. And this deficiency, this awareness leads to striving, human striving to solve the deficiency. We put in efforts We try to bridge that deficiency, and that leads to authentic life, a meaningful, authentic life. We find meaning through our endeavors, through our efforts, through our journey in life. When we are addressing these deficiencies, we find meaning, who we are, what it means to be me, and we find meaning and purpose through our strivings. However, there is a big hurdle in that overall this process when we try to bridge this deficiency that we identify within and outside of us. And that is where this concept of source of anxiety, why freedom is also a source of anxiety, because freedom comes with responsibility. And this responsibility that comes with freedom is in some instances could lead to a source of anxiety. He used a very good concept, and that concept is called bad faith. So what is bad faith? At its core, bad faith is a form of self-deception. It occurs when we lie to ourselves to avoid facing the truth about our freedom and responsibility. As I said earlier, Sartre argues that human beings are condemned to be free. This means we are always making choices, whether we like it or not. However, the weight of this freedom can be overwhelming. It could lead us to seek refuge in bad faith. So bad faith is sort of a self-deception because we are overwhelmed with the responsibility that comes with freedom. In bad faith, he argues, we often hide behind fixed roles and identities. Take, for instance, a waiter who performs his job with exaggerated precision. He acts as if he is nothing more than a waiter, denying up any possibilities for his existence. By doing this, he avoids confronting the broader responsibilities and choices he has in life. Sartre distinguishes between facticity and transcendence. What is facticity? Facticity includes the concrete details of our lives, such as our past actions, our physical characteristics, and social roles. Transcendence, he argues, on the other hand, is our ability to go beyond these facts and create our own meaning. In bad faith, he said, we overemphasize facticity and deny our transcendence, leading to a static, deterministic view of ourselves. Let's take another example. A woman on a date who pretends not to notice her companion's romantic advances to maintain her image of propriety. By denying her desires and the reality of the situation, she avoids acknowledging her freedom and the anxiety that comes with it. So what happens? What are some consequences of bad faith? Sartre argues, living in bad faith can lead to feelings of inauthenticity and dissatisfaction. When we constantly lie to ourselves, we experience internal conflict and stress. Sartre believed that authenticity, which means embracing our freedom and responsibility, is essential for a meaningful existence. Inauthenticity, which is the result of bad faith, leaves us with a shallow and unfulfilled life. So in summary, Sartre's concept of bad faith challenges us to confront and embrace truth about our existence. By understanding and overcoming bad faith, he argues we can lead more authentic and fulfilling lives. Remember, living authentically means embracing your freedom and taking responsibility for your choices. It's not always easy, but it's the path to a true, meaningful life. So that's some of the key features, some ideas that Sartre talked about how to find meaningful, authentic life, what it means to be human. Now, you might be thinking that we are discussing these ideas of Sartre about human existence. Why it is important for a phenomenological researcher? It is important for a researcher because no matter what human experience you are going to explore, we as humans, every day we are making choices. Sometimes they are very minor choices, like what I want to eat in my dinner, or some important choices such as going on a date, or deciding to find a job, or choosing a job, among some other choices available. So every day our life is comprised of making decisions, making choices. The theme of choice, authenticity, decisions, anxiety, they are part and parcel of human experience. So by learning what some of these ideas of Sartre, it can help us to understand human behavior, to understand human decision making, and that will help us to be a better explorer of human existence, our decision making, our choices, challenges, anxieties that we experience in the process of finding and exploring an authentic way of being. So that's in short about Jean-Paul Sartre and his philosophy. If you want to read more, you can definitely read his magnum opus, which is Being and Nothingness. It's a wonderful book. All right, so that's it for today. I'll see you in another video on phenomenology. Till then, have a good rest of the day. I'll see you soon.